All right, so let's get into the hair we're using today. This is 24-inch bulk braiding hair, the wet and wavy version from Eayonhair store. They sent me 3 bundles of this, but believe it or not, I used like a little bit over 1 bundle of it. So if you get 2 bundles, that's more than enough for a full head. I really appreciate how full and thick these bundles are from root to tip. It is in a natural color 1B. It's healthy, thick, and such high good quality. Only other 2 things I used for this was this 32-inch braiding hair, and I really only used 1 bundle out of it, and I only used 1 pack of this wrapping hair. You can use whatever wrapping hair of your choice. All right, so last time I did this install, I did not think it through, and it just gave me such a headache. I was so exhausted by the time I got done with it. The vlog didn't even go up right. Anyways, so I knew this time around I wanted to come up with a pre-made method that was easier to install and easier to take down. So I wanted to come up with a way, one that would make this a 2-for-1 style, and then another way that I can make sure that I'm reusing this hair, because this is human hair, you guys. It's a low grip, it's a good investment, and we want to be able to reuse it. So what I ended up deciding to do was make mini crochet braids with the human hair. The idea was to get as much human hair on the braid as much as possible and be able to seal it so that the braid doesn't come loose. So essentially, these could be used as crochet box braids, but I'm going to use these instead as an extension for locks. So unfortunately for this method, you do have to know how to braid and know how to feed in, but if you're going to do locks, you don't have to worry about it being too neat. The idea is just to get the hair on the braid so that you can install it later. So I've already separated my hair, and essentially all I'm doing is creating a loop by tying a very, very small piece of the braiding hair at the top of the loop. I start braiding down a couple of inches, and then I just start feeding in hair as I go down. You can do as much or as little as you want. I did about 3 to 4 strands each, and I made sure that I packed it up at the bottom because I wanted it to be very full at the bottom. Then if you caught our braid school video a couple of weeks ago, I showed you guys my wrap and tap method. So to seal the bottom of it, I just wrapped it with the braiding hair and sealed it with my flat iron, and boom, I've got a completely secured braid with all the human hair attached to it. So it only took me 2 hours to make 60 of these mini crochet braids, and let me tell you, time is my friend. So I think I cracked the code, so we're definitely going to be putting this on the service menu soon. The other great thing about the wrap and tap method is that you can cut off the excess braiding hair at the bottom, but I left mine on because I wanted to see the end result, and I felt like it gave it a little bit more fullness, but we'll see. Now here's what I do to speed up the install process. Before I even start, I prep all of the braids by inserting a small piece of the wrapping hair through the loop of the braid. This serves so many different purposes. It preps the hair for the wrap, it makes it secure at the root, and it gives you the option of extending it if you need to. So I'm starting with freshly shampooed hair, and I deep condition for about 2 hours or so. We're going to go in with our leave-ins because I am going to blow my hair out. Yes, I did cut it. It is big chop number 2. I'm not sure if the vlog for the big chop is going up before or after this video, but I will link it in the cards above. It was totally planned, and I'm super excited about it because what have I been doing? Like, short hair is where it's at, especially when it comes to installing these braids and locks. Oh my gosh, it saves me so much time and effort, and washing my hair is taking me only a few minutes. So loving it. Anyways, after I blow dry, I always go in with a light oil to seal in any moisture and keep my hair from reverting. Now the hair I have in the front is long enough to braid, but most of it in the back is not, and y'all know me, I don't like to braid my own hair, So we're going to be rubber banding these sections. And no, your rubber bands do not have to be super tight. I'm going to show you, you can easily just slip them down because the goal of them is to just tie that section up so that it doesn't move and the lock has something to hold on to. So it doesn't have to be super tight at the root. If you go super tight at the root, then when you go to install this hair, it's going to be super stiff and you're going to hate life. You see how I didn't do it too tight and I slipped it down just a little bit? That's going to give me some room to play with when I go to install this lock. And for the longer strands, I twisted them down. If you have shorter hair than I do, I would strongly advise rubber banding your ends as well because that's going to keep them in the locks. Sectioning only took me about an hour, thank God, and to add in extra moisture before I wrap everything up, I'm going back in with my leave-in because now I don't care if my hair reverts, I've already parted and sectioned and we're good to go. Now to install the locks, all I gotta do is grab my pre-portioned and pre-prepared hair and insert the wrapping hair side through the root of my braid, gather everything up together, and then just start wrapping with that wrapping hair. And then because these are boho, as I'm wrapping, I'm going to pull out the pieces of hair that I want to show. Now to save more time, if you're not sure how much wrapping hair to add to each pre-loop, I would suggest testing out one of your strands to see how thin or thick you want to go. I say this because as I was installing the hair, I wanted it to look thicker and I wanted kind of more of like a butterfly look to it. So I installed all of them first and then I went back in with additional wrapping hair to kind of like beef up the locks. Also, in a recent episode of Braid School, we discussed in great detail how to wrap your locks without them unraveling. And I always wrap my locks without any glue or knots or anything like that. And that's simply because as I move down with the wrapping hair, I start grabbing smaller pieces of it until I have almost a strand as tiny as a thread by the time I get to the bottom. That kind of helps lock everything in because we're actually going to be dipping these at the end to help lock them in further. But if you don't want to dip them, they're going to be nice and secure. You won't have to worry about them unraveling. Now, I've recently cut my hair so the sides are shaved down. So I ended up only using 52 of these braids. But for a full head, I would suggest 60 to 70 of them. If you're gonna go with this size, you can make them bigger if you want to, and you can make them longer. Here's another look at how I finish off the lock. I grab a very small piece and I start wrapping back up, but it got a little too bulky at the end, but because I knew it was nice and secure, I went ahead and cut the excess off. To help set my natural hair under the style, I went in with my setting mousse and I just went to town on it and it just softened everything right on up. So here's what the hair looks like before I dip them, and here's what it looks like after I dip them. As you can see, this hair is a true wet and wavy. The hair curled up and clumped up nice and beautifully, and it's so soft and so lightweight. Remember, I only used a little bit more than one bundle, so 2 bundles would be more than enough for a full head. And unfortunately, the wet look is not what I wanted to go for, but I do like the fact that it is an option for me to choose from. So I went back and I dried the hair, brushed it out, and I also did a little bit more distressing on the locks because I wanted more of a beachy, flowy look. And here's how it looks curly versus blown out. I will say I will have to keep an eye on maintenance for this. I'll probably have to brush it daily, and I want to make sure that I keep product out of it. I noticed that just a little bit of foam that I put in the hair, it clung right to it and it made it a little bit more stiff and sticky. So it's great for clumping up your curls, but not so great if you want the blown out look. You'll want to try and stay away from putting a lot of heavy products in the hair because it will weigh it down, and the only way to get it out is to shampoo it out. So that completes the video, you guys. Thanks so much for watching. As always, if you've learned something, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and tell a friend. It helps the channel out so much. Special thanks to Eayonhair for sponsoring today's video. All the information you need will be in the description box below, along with my code for 10% off your order. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!